All right. So thank you and welcome back to our second session for today, which is called Emotional Intelligence. How do you become emotionally intelligent? Is what we are going to learn in this session. Because if there's anything to be in control of, is our emotion. We might be controlling the world, controlling people, controlling organizations, controlling resources, but if you cannot control ourselves, then we are powerless. So the first thing to control is our emotions. Here is the thing about emotion. If you don't control it, it will control you. So do you want to lead your emotion, or do you want your emotion to lead you? So we are here to learn about emotional leadership. And in this course, whenever I talk about emotional intelligence, I'm talking about emotional quotient. You know, you are familiar with intelligence quotients, right? IQ. Here we are talking about emotional quotients, meaning that EQ, meaning emotional intelligence person. So now EQ will determine how you react to situation. Something happened, how do you react? And it also determines your attitude towards challenges. Challenges are abound. Then how do you respond to these challenges? Even our relationship is determined by our EQ, our emotional intelligence. And emotional intelligence is needed everywhere, especially in our work environment, in social setting, in family setting. We need emotional intelligence. Even with ourselves, we need to learn how to control our feelings and our thinking, our mindset, and how we react to situation. And that is why even in recent days, when they are recruiting for employment or promotion, they will ask for the one with EQ. They said, we want someone who has EQ and IQ. But why do you think they are asking for EQ, emotionally intelligent person? Because it leads to higher performance. It also leads to better relationship. We don't want to hire someone or promote someone who does not know how to relate with people, who cannot perform highly. So your high level of performance is determined by your emotion. I'm not saying EQ is not important, but I'm not saying IQ is not important, but EQ is very, very important. But what is EQ? EQ is understanding your emotion and expressing your emotion. How do you do these things? EQ means how do you understand and express your emotion. Emotion is going on inside you. Do you understand that? Are you aware of that? If you are not aware of the emotion going on inside you, then you are not aware of your emotion. Then you decide how to express those emotions. That's what makes you emotionally intelligent person. The second part of EQ is empathy. Being careful and concerned about the effects of your action towards other people. If I say this word, what kind of effect is going to give to the person next to me? What are the consequences of my actions, my words, my body language? All these things is called empathy. To understand emotional intelligence, we need to understand our psychological makeup. What makes who we are? What makes who we are and how we relate with people is determined by three things. One is our IQ. IQ is about reasoning, problem solving. The second one is about our EQ, which is emotional intelligence. The third one is about our personality. So these three things come together to make who we are. Who we are as individuals are or is EQ, IQ, and personality. But we use these things at a varying degree. Some people use their IQ very well. Some people use their EQ very well. Some people use their personalities better. But can IQ and personality predict your EQ? Your emotional intelligence cannot be defined by your intelligence. Your emotional intelligence cannot be defined by your personality. Your personality are your behavior, your characters, which is also different from how you manage your emotion. So you can see somebody who is highly intelligent but cannot control his emotion. And you can see somebody who is highly intelligent but is not cognitively intelligent. So personality and IQ cannot predict emotional intelligence. These three things are independent of one another, but they interact to help us solve problems and make decisions. But how can I build my EQ if I have IQ? I can use my IQ to learn the skills of EQ, because among personality and IQ and EQ, what is most flexible is the EQ. Can you change your IQ? Can you change your personality? Can you change your EQ? Yes. But which one you can rapidly change? You can easily change. Which one is flexible? You can build, you can practice, you can learn faster. What you can learn faster is the EQ. So even if you don't have EQ, you don't have emotional intelligence, you can build it faster. Starting from this class. This is a class where you learn how to control your emotion, learn how to slow down in your reaction. So if you are to choose between EQ and IQ, which one will you choose? You have two individuals. One has high emotional intelligence. The other has high cognitive intelligence. Who will you hire? The man with the suit. Do you want to hire someone that is emotionally intelligent, or the one that is cognitively intelligent? The question is, if you have two people to hire, one has higher emotional intelligence, the other one has higher cognitive intelligence, who will you hire? B. That is the one with IQ. You know, there is EQ, there is IQ. So do you want to hire the one with EQ or with the one with IQ? IQ, why? No, the one with the E is the one that has emotional intelligence. Because E there means emotion. So IQ means intelligence quotient. Just the normal intelligence we have, the brain intelligence. But this one is emotional intelligence. So if I understand you, do you want to go for? Okay. He said he go for the IQ, right? Any different opinion? Yes. EQ. And why? Because yes. Then the EQ has to do with how you manage people around you. Yes. And how you manage people around you, that means how successful. Exactly. So research has shown that people that are highly emotionally intelligent, they help grow the organization. Because if you have interpersonal relationships, good harmony, you have good relationship, you're likely to have growth in the organization and higher performance than to have smart, intelligent people who cannot control their temper, cannot control it themselves. So that your biggest asset It's your emotional ability. It's your emotional capacity. But yes, go ahead. Cognitive intelligence. IQ. Yeah. There is no trace of EQ. Exactly. How do you test the people's EQ? That's exactly my next word. And I have 1, 2, 3, 4 answers to that. Now, what do I see in you to know you have EQ or not? I know what to do if I want to know if I have IQ. I'll just ask you 1 + 1. If you tell me 2, I know you have IQ. Right? It's simple as that. But if I want to know you have emotional intelligence, what question should I ask you? What do I need to do to know you have EQ, high or low? So these are the measurements of emotional intelligence. So I'm going to give you these 4 measurements. Remember, I told you, anything that you cannot measure, you cannot manage. For you to manage your emotions, you have to measure your emotions. So take down these 4 elements. If you want to know if someone is emotionally intelligent, just observe them in these areas. Number 1, being aware of emotions. Are you aware of your feelings? Are you aware of what you are doing, what's going on inside you right now? Being aware of emotions. If you are not conscious of your emotions, you are not emotionally intelligent. If you are conscious of what's going on inside your head, you are emotionally intelligent. Then number 2 is expressing emotions. Expressing emotions. How do you express your emotions? There are certain emotions that you are not allowed to express, at least at some point, sometimes, and situations. So knowing when, where, and how to express your emotion is a sign of your high level of emotional intelligence. But if people can express any kind of feeling and emotion anywhere, anyhow they want, they don't have emotional intelligence. That is number 2. Number 3 is controlling your emotions. Now I'm feeling this kind of rage, grievance, hatred, regret inside me. Can I hold it? Can I control it? Can I conceal it? Somebody insulted me. Somebody disrespected me. Can I control what I'm feeling? One of my staff said, somebody disrespected me. And I told him, I said, that's fine. It's part of living. It's part of life, people to disrespect you. You have to accept that and do nothing about it. And nothing happens. But you are not reduced. You have not diminished. I will talk about more on that. The next thing to look at to know if I am emotionally intelligent or not is to look at my relationship management. The next one is called relationship management. There is someone who will start every relationship and fall out of it. They cannot maintain friendship. They cannot maintain relationship. They don't relate with people. They cannot communicate with people. They cannot mingle well with people. These people are not emotionally intelligent people. You see them not doing well with almost everyone. Changing friends almost every day, every week. So, these are the measurement of emotional intelligence. But now, the next thing we need to learn before we go deep into emotional intelligence is what are the areas of emotional intelligence. So now our subtopic is called areas of emotional intelligence. These ones too, there are 4. Number 1 is self-awareness. Self-awareness. And number 2 is self-management. That's what you call self-awareness, and that's what you call self-management. There's a bit of difference here, a little bit of difference. The first one says being aware of what's going on inside you. I know that I'm not happy. I know that I have this kind of revenge, or I want to revenge, or I'm feeling sad, angry, whatever kind of feeling. Being aware of what's going on inside your head is self-awareness. But managing that, to say continue or not continue, or managing how to express those feelings, is a self-management. So these two are inward, are things you do within yourself. So you understand and manage yourself well. That's the first area of emotional intelligence. The second part, or the third and the fourth, relate to the external situation, which is more of social situation. And they are, number 3, social awareness and relationship development. Social awareness and relationship development. This relates to social situations. Are you aware of what's going on in other people? I can look at your faces, I know if you are happy. I can look at your faces, I know if you are interested in this course or not. So being aware of what's going on. If I know that some people are checking out, I need to do something to hook you back. Even in public communication skills, they said that you have the first 1 minute to hook your audience. If you are not saying anything significant that will hook your audience in the first 1 minute, you lose them. And after 9 minutes, you lose them again. So you have to throw another hook to get them back. So being aware of the faces, the body language of the people around here is me being socially aware. There are some people who are oblivious of what's going on around them. They do behavior, they do certain things, they don't care about what that behavior costs to other people. They don't have sympathy, and they cannot develop relationship. So before we start, I want you to ask yourself these 3 questions. What area do you need to improve in terms of emotional intelligence? If you have temperament, you know. If you have issues with your emotion, you know. Now answer this within the privacy of your mind. Which area of emotional intelligence do I need to improve? How do I react to situation? If something happened bad, how do I respond? Do I respond with positive mindset, or do I respond with negative mindset? What changes do you want to see? Now ask yourself, as we go through, now you see areas where you need to make commitment to do better. Now let's get to it. Because we are doing emotion, let us define and get to know what is emotion. What is the emotion in emotional intelligence? Emotions are feelings and reactions. And this could be pleasurable things, this could be displeasurable things. It could be on the extreme, it could be mild. Like in my organization, I told my staff, and I said, nobody should express extreme emotion. Even if you are happy, extremely happy, you are not allowed to express serious happiness. If you are seriously angry, you are not allowed to express serious anger. Everything you are allowed to express is mild and moderate. Like, I caught one of my staff dancing while on duty, chewing food and dancing, and I caught him on camera. And I asked him why. He mentioned one thing that made him happy. I said, you're on duty, you're on job. You're not allowed, it's not part of your profession. Now, if you go home, then you can close your room, put the loudest sound music, and dance and enjoy yourself. But part of profession, emotional control, is to control these emotions. Being sad and angry. And you cannot come to office grumpy. You're not smiling. People are cracking jokes, and everyone is smiling, and you are saying, I'm tired, I want to go home. You have a problem. So, pleasurable things should be controlled. Displeasurable things should be controlled. You see, situation can happen. How we respond to them could be different. That is what you call variation within us, and that is what you call variation. I said variation within us and variation between us. Variation within me is me experiencing the same situation twice, but reacting differently. Somebody insults me now, and I slapped him. Reaction. But tomorrow he slapped me again, and I did not slap him, or I will not slap him. You see the same experience, but my response are different. So that is variation within me. Variation between us is all of us, we are experiencing the same situation, but how we respond to it is different. So in understanding the variation in emotion is also part of being aware of our emotions. Because our emotions drive how we perceive and interpret the world around us. Somebody might walk into this room and say, this room is hot. And somebody might not even perceive the heat in this room because he focused on what is being said. It's all determined by our feelings and our reaction. So now this is emotion. But there are two things about emotion. There is responses to emotion, and there is also emotional responses. So now the next thing I want to share with you are these two things. Number one is responses to emotion. I'm going to share with you 3 responses to emotion. When you have emotion, 3 things will happen to you. What are these 3 things? The first thing that will happen to you is called psychological response. Event happened, situation happened. The first response is what happened inside your head. It's called psychological. Psychological is largely your mindset, how you feel, how you think about the situation, how your brain processes the information. The first response is inside your brain. Your brain will now respond and process the situation. So the head response. The second response is physiological response. The second one is physiological. Physiological is spelled as P-H-Y-S-I-O-L-O-G-I-C-A-L. Physiological. This is your body response. This is why your body now will start to react. Somebody slapped me, and my brain will process it as disrespect, and because of that, the brain will be angry and send signal to the body, and my body will start shaking and shivering. Is that how you disrespect me? You slap me? And then you have sweat all over your body. So your body is now responding to what the brain has processed. So your body is now processing it. And then physical reaction. I slapped back. That's a behavior. That's an action. That's a response. So when an event happens, it follows through these processes: psychological, physiological, and physical response. So we have 3 responses: psychological response, physiological response, and physical response. If you can track your response from the beginning by changing how your psychology responds and process the situation, then you can control the other responses. You can control the physiological response, you can control the physical responses. Normally, our emotional responses are quick. When we have feelings, we react immediately. It's very quick. Normally, what we do is event happen, and then response. Event, reaction. Event, reaction. Event, reaction. But I want you now to put something in between. When event happen, you put an intercept before you react. So this intercept is when we are slowing down, is when you are controlling yourself, is when you are removing yourself out of the situation. You are using your head to process the information, to think about it, process about it, and also come up with possible responses and think of the consequences of each of these responses and decide how to react. Then you react. But a lot of people don't put the intercept. Event happen, we react. Event happen, react, and then we regret. As if we are not the ones that did this job. Somebody slapped his boss, and the next day he was fired. And he remained jobless for the next 9 years. He regretted it. Just because event happened, he reacted. But what is most important part of emotional intelligence is how to take control of your feelings. And that is why I want to share with you the how to control your emotions. Taking control of your emotions is possible through the following things. How do you take control of yourself and your emotion? Number one, the first thing you need to do is to slow down. Slow down. The moment you are quick, you are fast, you say the things you regret, you do the things you regret. So when the event happens, situation happens, don't take action immediately. The second thing you need to do is recognize your emotions. Recognize your emotions. Acknowledge them. As if it is somebody who arrives in this venue. And I say, ladies and gentlemen, let's announce the arrival of the executive secretary of NJC. So everyone now is aware secretary is here. So you announce the arrival of every thought. Okay, this thought you have come. Oh, okay, you're welcome. Okay, sit there. What other thoughts have come? Okay, you too. Okay, I'm aware of all of you. You recognize your emotions. And then number 3 is called intercept. Intercept. Intercept is I-N-T-E-R-C-E-P-T. Intercept. This is where you think about it and feel about it. Thought and feeling. Intercept is what I just explained. You understanding what really happened, what are you feeling, and what are the responses, what is the consequences of each response. This is what you are doing at intercept. And then you decide how to respond. You see, events, they don't cause reaction. It is how we perceive and feel about the event that cause the reaction. So the problem is the feeling, is the thinking. You see, there was one funny story, just a little girl who was scolded for coming last in her class. And everyone said, why didn't you come number 1 in your class? Why are you not number 1? You are coming last. And she was wondering, she asked, what is there in becoming number 1? And she said in Hausa, what is it there in becoming the number 1 in my class? She has not seen the reason why she should be unhappy for just becoming the last or not becoming the number 1. That's the way she thinks and feels about it. But the parents think and feel that that's a bad thing, that's why they are reacting. So our reaction is fed by how we think and how we feel about the situation. No matter how bad the situation is, it's all dependent on how we think and respond to it, and vice versa. So if we have bad experience, it's because of the way we feel and think. So I want you now to practice personal reflection after every challenging situation that involves emotions. When something happened to you, reflect back. Sit back and think about, how did I react? Is it the best thing that I could have done? What is the consequences of my reaction? What happened? And always manage your mindset. Because our reactions are determined by our mindset. What you think and feel is what causes you to react. That is what I call cognitive hijack. Cognitive hijack is when I slapped a security guy. And you know, I was very young. I was newly recruited as a young academic. I was full of myself. I thought being a young lecturer at that time was one of the best things. And there was an event in our school, and a big guest was invited. He came, and then I went to the hall. I went to the venue. Upon arrival at the gate, at the door to the venue, this young security guy stopped me from going in. And I looked at him and said, what? You stopped me from going in? So my mindset was that, my thoughts and my feeling at that time was that I must enter And I am a lecturer from entering the venue. And it's disrespect when this guy stops me from entering this venue. And I immediately slapped him. And I immediately regretted it. That's what I call cognitive hijacked. I was hijacked by automatic information processing system in my brain. I was not thinking. And it was a moment I was not proud of. And it was a moment that taught me a better lesson about emotional intelligence. And then the VC said I should be sacked. I should be fired. And the letter I was sent was just for me to go and collect my sacking letter. I went to this guy, apologized to him. Some people were even going to him, helping him to write a petition, saying, don't forgive, this guy must go. And then I went and met with the Vice Chancellor, academics, and I told him what had happened, and I pleaded and I apologized, and I wrote. All these things, I should have spared myself this stress if I have had what I call intercept. If I intercepted my mindset, my thinking, my reaction with those thinking processes. But those were moments of lessons. I have learned my big lesson. Now, no matter how much you disrespect me now, no matter how much you insult me, I will not even feel it. I will not even react. Even for people that disrespect me, I would rather say and do nothing, but make sure that they will not have the chance again to disrespect me by creating distance. If somebody disrespects you, make sure they don't do it again. Because if you are complaining about the wind, the storm, the first thing you need to do is to close the window. Because you allow the window open, and that's why the wind is coming in. So that is what you call cognitive hijack. We all have our stories of cognitive hijack. So our mindset, which is how we think, how we feel, are the things that set us up. They set us up that lead to our emotions and eventually lead to our reactions. And then we regret. So our biggest enemy is the automatic information processing, which is called cognitive shortcuts. We process information and we act immediately, quickly. So observe your emotional triggers. What causes your trigger? What triggers your emotions, I mean? If you are highly tensed, what happens that causes that? So everyone should have a list of their emotional trigger and try to either avoid it or manage how they perceive those triggers. I also want to give you ABCDE strategy of controlling yourself. So it's a process of controlling yourself. So I'm going to put you through a process and see how in each process you can change the effect or the outcome of this situation. So how to control yourself in a different situation. So I want you to write ABCDE. So what the A letter there means. A there means activating events. Activating event. This is the event that happened, that activated everything, that activated your emotion. So what really happened? So I'm going to give you a story, an example, through which we are going to take you through this ABCDE process. So let's imagine in a work environment. Let me use a unique name so that somebody will not feel I'm talking to them. Let's say Mr. Dan. Mr. Dan is always required to provide an information, but he's always late. Sometimes he does not provide that information. And his boss, let's say Mrs. Priya, she's always angry and sad about it. So the activating event here is that Mr. Dan brings the report very late. So that is the activating event. So that is A, right? The B stands for belief. So what belief happens here? So now the belief is now on the Priya. His boss, Priya, now believes that his boss, Priya, B, beliefs. Beliefs. Like B-L-I-E, B-E, B-E-L-I-E-F-S, like my belief, like faith, what you believe. So in this case, Priya believed that Mr. Dan is doing it deliberately. He's bringing this report very late to disrespect her. That's her mindset. That's the belief. The belief that caused what? Caused reaction. And then that is C. C is the consequences. C stands for consequences. So what is the consequences? The consequences of her belief is now she's angry, she is sad, she's furious, she's devastated. Because the action is being repeated several times. But then the intercept, the D. The D stands for disrupting thoughts. Disrupting thoughts. Did you get the C? C is consequences. Consequences. The consequences is her reaction, which is Priya becoming angry and sad about it. So that is consequences of her belief. D is disrupting thoughts. Disrupting thoughts. Disrupting, you disrupt that thinking. You disrupt it. Disruption is D-I-S-R-U-P-T-I-N-G. Thought, thinking. Disrupting thought. T-H-O-U-G-H-T-S. So, what kind of disruptive thought Priya came up with? She came up with the thinking of benefit of the doubt. So she gave Mr. Dan the benefit of the doubt and say, oh, maybe he does not understand the value of this information. Maybe he does not have the skill to provide the information as quick as I wanted. So now putting herself in the shoe of Mr. Dan or giving Mr. Dan the benefit of the doubt now will make her to have a relief from the consequences she have, and she will now have a different effect. And that's why E stands for effects. Effects. Now, the effect is that she's now calmed, she calmed down, she's now looking for solution instead of looking for the problem. So if in any situation you have an activating event, you are allowed to check in your belief, to also recognize the consequences, and then attach your disruptive thoughts there, and then observe the effect you have as a result of that disruptive thoughts. You see, most of the times, the problem we see around us, how we react, is dependent on how we perceive the situation. I don't know if you guys remember a viral video about a young boy, a school boy, that always comes late to school. And every day he comes late, his teacher will strike him with a ruler in his hand. On his hand, I mean. He will always strike him, and tomorrow that boy will come late again and again and again. One day, the teacher followed this boy to see why this boy is late, always to school. And he saw that this boy, every morning, he has to take his mother to the hospital. He has to push her on the wheelchair to a longer distance to take his mother to the hospital and then start running to school. The teacher has never seen it from his perspective, and he's always striking the boy with a ruler. And after seeing that, the teacher was shocked and devastated. When the child came late, he just presented his hand. I said, hit me. Instead of waiting for the hit, for the strike, the teacher placed the ruler on his hand and said, hit me. Hit me, but it's me that you're supposed to strike. I'm not the one to strike you. I've been punishing you for what you don't have a fault in. It's not your fault that your mother is sick. It's not your fault that you are the only one who has to take her to the hospital. And I've been striking you, I've been beating you for that. And the teacher was crying. And everyone hugged the boy. So our reaction, we don't know the consequences we don't know the circumstances of people. We only react. We only behave toward them without realizing what's going on in their lives. So empathy will allow you now to give people benefit of the doubt. Another story of a child who always goes to the hospital to take care of his mother, ailing mother, grandmother, who will stay up awake during the night to take care of his mother and always come to school and sleep in the school. And the teacher will always beat him. Why are you sleeping in the class? And when they discover what's going on with the child, and everyone hugged him, they even brought blanket for him. You see, our reaction to people will differ if we give people benefit of the doubt. Look at it from different perspectives. So, slowing down is key. But how do we slow down? And I'm going to share with you the tactics for slowing down your action and choosing how to respond. Do these things, then you'll be able to slow down in every situation. So this might be related to the previous point, but let's see them. There are 5 of them. Number 1, identify the emotional reaction. When something happens, okay, let me allow you to write. Number 1 is called identify the emotional reaction. The first thing you need to discover is how you are emotionally reacting to the situation before you react. Number 2, remove yourself from the situation. Number 1, I said, identify the emotional reaction. Number 2, remove yourself from the situation. Imagine as if you are a bypasser, you are a bystander, and then you are walking by, and then you saw this thing happen. Somebody against somebody. How should the other person react? You are not the one involved. So you are removing yourself out of the situation, so there is no personal effects. And then see how will you look at it from a bystander. Number 3, give yourself time to recover. Give yourself time to recover. You need like 1 hour, 30 minutes, depending on the situation. Sometimes even 1 day, sometimes even 1 month. Sometimes when you're falling out of a relationship, you don't need to react. Sometimes relationships, they get bad, and then we start reacting immediately and getting even worse. So sometimes you need more time. You need hours. You need to make hours turn to days, days to weeks, weeks to months, to allow yourself a time to recover before you react. If what you do is just something happen and then you respond, allow yourself to heal, calm down, and then you decide what to do. Number 4, challenge your thoughts. Challenge your thoughts. Every thought that comes to your mind, criticize it, challenge it, say no to it, come up with the opposite of it. This will allow you to see the different perspective around the situation. Because the moment we narrow down to one perspective, we become hijacked by the action of that perception. And then number 5, choose how you respond. Choose how you will respond. And I told you, for every response, you should come up with options and choose among the best option. How do you choose the options? Looking at the consequences of each of the options and see which consequences do you want to go for, right? And then before we end social emotional intelligence, let's look at the other part. So this is you doing your part inside you. The other layer of emotional intelligence is interaction, relationship, and it's called social awareness. You cannot have a complete emotional intelligence if you don't have social awareness. You see, your senses are gathering enough information for you to react. There were moments and places you visit, and the moment you arrive there, you feel safe. You don't even need to talk to anybody. You don't need to experience anything. The moment you arrive there, you feel safe. And there are places when you arrive there, the moment you are there, you feel dangerous. And that's social awareness in play. Your subconscious mind is gathering information around and presenting it to you as a process thinking. And then you react to it. And that is social awareness through your senses. So social awareness is about understanding others and responding to their needs. There are some people, they will keep doing what they're doing without considering the consequences of their action on other people. As I'm talking with you, I can see the faces of those that are already tired. And I can see the faces of those that are still active. So I'm trying to balance the two. I quickly finish so that we can finish on time. Right? So I'm being socially aware. There's someone who will put on their generator and disturbing their neighbor, and he does not care. Is that social awareness? Or you put loud music. Or you are chewing food, you are eating food and you are making noise, disturbing your neighbors. So this is not being socially aware. Being aware of what is around you, how people react. So emotional intelligence is not only about knowing you, but knowing other people. You spend a lot of time with me, but you don't know me. And you never take time to know me, like what Akon said, right? That's not being socially aware. So what are the tactics of social awareness? So for every aspect of emotional intelligence, we have tactics for it. So I'm going to share with you these tactics for social awareness. The first thing you need to do, number one, under social awareness tactics, is gather information. Gather information. So I want you to gather information from what you see, what you hear, and from what you feel. Sometimes people do not have to even speak to you before you know what's going on with them. So what you see is enough information. And number two, pay attention to detail around you. Pay attention to detail around you every moment. And I can see if someone is moving, where he goes, if this AC is turned on, is it temperature 16, who is writing, detail. When you are talking, how your face is reacting and things like that. Which brought us to number three. It's called facial expressions and body language. When people are talking to you, or when you are around people, look at their faces. Our faces communicate 1,000 stories. You don't have to tell me if you're happy or not. I just need to look at your face and then know what's going on with you. So pay attention to faces of the people. You walk into your room and see your boss, his face has changed. Or your colleagues, their face has changed. You know something happened. You can ask. You can do something about it. Body language. People give you non-verbal cues to tell you what's going on with them. If you see somebody withdrawing, see somebody with cold shoulders, you know that something is not going well with them. The next thing, number four, is, the third one is facial expression and body language. Number four, voice tones. Listen to the tones of the voice. You can even feel if I'm strong or if I'm already tired through the tone of my voice. Tone. The tone of my voice. Tone of my voice. Number five. Number five is seek to understand than to be understood. Okay, let me put it in simple terms. Seek to understand others' thoughts. Seek, S-E-E-K. Seek to understand others' thoughts. One of the important skills of social awareness is understand how people think, the sources of their thinking. Where are they coming from? And seek to understand them first before you get yourself understood. And then the last one is called empathy. Empathy. Empathy is putting yourself in their shoes. Put yourself in the shoes of other people and see how will you feel, how will you react. That's being empathetic. And lastly, okay, this list has ended, all right? So as an ended. So I'm just adding another big point, which is a key element of social awareness is called communication. Communication. How do you communicate and how others interpret what you say? Make sure what you say is strong, is clear, and people interpret it with the intention you communicated that. And seek to understand first before others understood you, and listen to others, because that way you see where you share things in common, and always collect feedback from people. That way you know what they feel towards you and how to adjust in this kind of situations. So highly emotional people, these are the tactics I want to give you, and I want to challenge you to now review them and see which areas of emotional intelligence do you want to practice, and put them in your life. You should never be found wanting when it comes to emotional intelligence. Especially when you are dealing with difficult bosses. Sometimes some of our bosses could be bullied, and how we react is the only story, is the only headline. Even myself, I have several experiences. There was even a time one of my bosses, one of my deans, he said he would not promote me. He hit the table and said, never. I would rather resign this position than for me to sign your promotion letter. And he was saying things that could have provoked everybody. It provoked me too. But I did not react. I kept my calmness. And I was cool. And I did not react. And I gave time for myself to recover. If I had reacted, the only story was that Ahmed was not respectful, was aggressive, is arrogant. All these negativities and would be filed in my file. And that's a story that will be going around the town. But if he denied my promotion, nobody will talk about it. But if I react, it becomes a story. So always apply emotional intelligence in places like this, especially work environments, so that you also have this good repetition. Set your eye on your goal. Whoever you have to bow down to, respect, just to get that thing, just do it. When you get that thing, just crush everyone along the line and then move on. It's just temporary. You know your purpose. So highly emotional people, I want to congratulate you because the journey has just begun. You have no excuse to lose your temper. You have no excuse to be found wanting when it comes to emotion, because I've given you my 100%. It's up to you now to decide how to put it into practice. Remember, knowledge is not power. Knowledge is just a potential power. It only becomes power when you put it into practice. So let's see the practice beginning now. Thank you so much, and God bless you. How far are we doing this time?